Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Yu. Today I'm going to talk about ethical issues in video games. The following presentation will use the Power Box to review several factors that cause ethical issues in video games. According to my research, there is a USA student had said, media is not just a convenience, it is literally part of my life. Thus, we can realize the impact of media and how it dominates most of juveniles' time now. So, what is the state of media ethics today? Different ethical issues can be found today in video games, which can make a huge impact on consumers affected by a breach of ethics. Current media ethics can be divided into two categories: censorship and liberty. Moral censorship is the removal of materials that are obscene or otherwise considered morally questionable. It argues to censor every inappropriate material, but liberty argues that artistic freedom and aesthetic integrity should be protected. Let's look at some issues in the ethics of entertainment media today. It includes violence, sex, and the presence of strong language. Ethical guidelines and legislation in this area are common. Many media, such as movies and video games, are subject to rating system and supervision by agencies. Product placement is an increasingly common marketing tactic. It is the placement of products in entertainment media. The producer of such media may be paid high sums to display branded products. The practice is controversial and largely unregulated. Both advertising and entertainment media make heavy use of stereotypes. Stereotypes may negatively affect people's perception of themselves or promote socially undesirable behavior. For example, in some of video games, female characters always wear exposed clothes. This is a problem because it implies that the main value of these female characters is their sexuality. Even with restriction, three categories still can affect juveniles' ethical values today. Video games have been a focus of controversy in the media industry. People worry about them causing violence and addiction. Although some research contradicts these views, many people still have prejudice against video games. People fear the effects that are brought by the new technology. However, video games had penetrated to every family's life anyway. In the United States, 59% of population plays video games. The average household has at least two people who play games and own at least one game console, PC, or smartphone. Video games have affected people's time and interpersonal interaction. It has begun to change the way of people's view and understand. Also, we might even say video games start to change the way of world's operation. Everything that a juvenile sees or hears in the media early on in their lives affect them in some way. Viewing sexually violent material and playing sexually violent games tends to create an incentive for violent sex crimes and to develop a socially destructive linkage of sex and violence in the minds of persons who may, under some condition, change their values of ethics and act out their new attitudes. As you can see, the data show us when the game got bloodier, hostility levels after playing the game, especially compared to pre-game hostility, was significantly higher. Arousal levels in the bloodiest version of the game were significantly higher later in the game than at the start of the game. There are two events showing how games are pushing the ethical boundary. The first one tells about a couple obsessed with the video game, sentenced for neglecting two children. When police discovered the children, they were extremely dirty. Their teeth were damaged, and they were not going to school or leaving the mobile home. The second one tells about robbers using mobile games to lure players into traps and commit a crime. This also tells about how a 19 years old girl found a dead body during the game. More importantly, the girl said the discovery of a corpse would not deter her from returning to the game. According to two events, we might have two questions. Was gaming more important to the parents than their kids? Is gaming more important than life? In the first event, as parents, they don't perform the responsibility of parents. They act like the video game is important than anything. In the second event, the girl said the discovery of a corpse would not deter her from returning to the game. This begs the question, what would stop them? What is their ethical bottom line? Do video games really change their ethical values? The answer is debatable, but we can realize that gaming is pushing people's ethical boundary now. Media ethics are a complex topic because they deal with an institution that must do things that ordinary people in ordinary circumstances would not do. Media ethics is the subdivision of applied ethics dealing with the specific ethical principles and standard of media, including broadcast media, film, theater, the arts, print media, and the internet. On an institutional level, media ethics issues with video games includes debates over media ownership and control, commercialization, accountability, the relation of the media to the political system, and issues arising from regulation such as censorship and deregulation. For values, there is no values accord with my topics. Values taught through violent video games are not consistent with the values necessary for a society to flourish. Many video games production companies are taking advantage of scenes of sex, violence, blood, and so on to attract players around the world, especially the young ones. It is definitely harmful for these young players who do not have fundamental discriminability. For most of the video game companies, their behaviors follow Mill's principle of utility. Game company will calculate if producing game will scenes with scenes of sex, violence, blood, and so on can help the company to reach the best interest according to utilitarianism. If the game contains scenes of sex, violence, blood, and so on can help the company to reach the best interest, and then this behavior is similarly justified. Like I said, many video game production companies are taking advantage of scenes of sex, violence, blood, and so on to attract players around the world. Grand Theft Auto would be a good example. GTA 5 is an open-world action-adventure video game. The game is played from either a first-person or third-person view, and its world is navigated on foot or by vehicle. The story is centered on the heist sequences, and many missions involve shooting and driving gameplay. As March of 2016, GTA 5 had sold $65 million. On this account, we can see the popularity of this game. The controversy over GTA is significantly associated with increased aggressive behavior and thoughts among heavy players. Opponents of GTA call it a virtual reality murder simulator. Even if consumers can make free choices about buying and playing, the games the game's negative effects spill over. Violence provides thrill that the consumer can enjoy, and the video games offer an immersive experience. Because of this reason, more and more violent video games got produced and sold on the market to get more profit, because they want to be the next GTA. Video game industry gives allegiance to their company or employer. Any loyalties to society and those who protect society from crime are dismissed and discredited. In light of moral hazards, these games may be stealing our moral compass and need to be pulled over. But turning on the siren means that players themselves, certainly the millions who are past parental oversights, come to awareness that misdirected recreation at best steals hours from better, more satisfying play and at worst ventilates a bipolar morality. Today, different countries have their own rationale for their media ethic, but liberty can never be absolute. Censorship can never be absent. Media ethics are a complex topic because they deal with an institution that must do things that ordinary people in ordinary circumstances would not do. The result is an increasingly commercialized world rich with the values of commercialism, instant gratification, and materialism. Thank you so much and hope you enjoyed it.